This narrative recounts a pivotal incident in the British royal family, focusing on a seemingly minor altercation between Princess Charlotte and Camilla's granddaughter, Eliza, in the private gardens of Windsor Castle. The incident, initially a seemingly insignificant childhood spat, escalated into a significant power shift within the royal family, challenging Camilla's carefully cultivated image and solidifying William's authority. This analysis will dissect the narrative, exploring its dramatic structure, its portrayal of the key players, and its implications for the future dynamics of the royal family. The introduction immediately sets a dramatic tone, contrasting the idyllic setting of a breezy afternoon in the royal gardens with the ensuing conflict and its lasting consequences. The author uses vivid imagery, describing the transformation from laughter to whispers and smiles to strained expressions, creating a sense of impending conflict. The introduction establishes a dramatic tone, contrasting the idyllic setting with the ensuing conflict. The narrative centers on Princess Charlotte, portraying her as a precocious 9-year-old possessing remarkable poise and grace, yet vulnerable to the cruelty of a peer. This portrayal humanizes Charlotte, making her relatable despite her royal status, and highlighting the vulnerability of even those in positions of privilege. The narrative centers on Princess Charlotte, portraying her as a precocious 9-year-old. Eliza, Camilla's granddaughter, is presented as the antagonist, her actions driven by a sense of entitlement and a disregard for the feelings of others. The narrative emphasizes the subtle yet pointed nature of Eliza's remark, highlighting the insidious nature of her cruelty and its devastating impact on Charlotte. Eliza, Camilla's granddaughter, is presented as the antagonist. The incident itself is described in detail, emphasizing the emotional impact on Charlotte and the immediate protective response of Kate, Princess of Wales. Kate's reaction is portrayed as a powerful display of maternal instinct and unwavering resolve, contrasting sharply with Eliza's casual cruelty. The incident itself is described in detail, emphasizing the emotional impact on Charlotte. Prince William's response is depicted as a calculated and decisive act of authority, devoid of emotional outbursts, yet radiating unwavering resolve. His actions are presented as a strategic move to protect his daughter and to assert his position within the royal family. Prince William's response is depicted as a calculated and decisive act of authority. The narrative highlights the contrast between William's decisive action and Camilla's subsequent attempts to mitigate the damage and restore her family's standing. Camilla's reaction is portrayed as a desperate attempt to maintain her carefully constructed public image and protect her family's position within the royal hierarchy. The narrative highlights the contrast between William's decisive action and Camilla's subsequent attempts to mitigate the damage. The narrative then details the leak of the incident to the media and the subsequent public reaction, emphasizing the widespread support for William's decision and the condemnation of Eliza's behavior. This section highlights the public's perception of the incident and its impact on the royal family's image. The narrative then details the leak of the incident to the media. The narrative then explores the internal dynamics within the royal family, suggesting a shift in power and influence, with William's authority solidified and Camilla's influence diminished. This section analyzes the long-term implications of the incident for the royal family's internal power structures. The narrative then explores the internal dynamics within the royal family. The narrative then describes Camilla's attempts to reverse the decision, highlighting her frustration and her efforts to influence Charles and other members of the royal family. This section emphasizes the intensity of Camilla's reaction and her determination to protect her family's interests. The narrative then describes Camilla's attempts to reverse the decision. The narrative then contrasts Camilla's actions with Kate's composed and dignified response, highlighting Kate's strategic use of public appearances to reinforce her image as a caring mother and a strong royal figure. This section emphasizes the contrasting approaches of Camilla and Kate in managing the fallout from the incident. The narrative then contrasts Camilla's actions with Kate's composed response. The narrative concludes by emphasizing the lasting impact of the incident, suggesting that it marked a turning point in the royal family's dynamics, with William asserting his authority and establishing new boundaries within the institution. This section summarizes the long-term implications of the incident and its potential to reshape the future of the monarchy. The narrative concludes by emphasizing the lasting impact of the incident. However, the narrative relies heavily on speculation and unnamed sources, making it difficult to verify the accuracy of the events described. The lack of concrete evidence and the reliance on anecdotal accounts weaken the essay's overall credibility. The analysis addresses the narrative's reliance on speculation and unnamed sources. Furthermore, the narrative's dramatic structure and its portrayal of the key players may exaggerate the significance of the incident and create a biased representation of the individuals involved. The use of emotionally charged language and the selective presentation of information raise concerns about the objectivity of the narrative. The analysis addresses the narrative's dramatic structure and potential bias. Finally, the narrative's focus on private family matters raises ethical concerns about the appropriateness of speculating on such sensitive topics without verifiable evidence. The potential for misrepresentation and the harm that such speculation could inflict on the individuals involved are significant ethical considerations. The analysis addresses the ethical considerations of speculating on private family matters. In conclusion, while the narrative presents a compelling account of a pivotal moment within the British royal family, its reliance on speculation, its dramatic structure, and its ethical shortcomings limit its overall credibility. The narrative effectively captures the complexities of family dynamics and power struggles within the royal institution, but its conclusions regarding the long-term implications of the incident remain largely speculative. The analysis concludes by summarizing the key arguments and emphasizing the limitations of the narrative's approach.